I remember the night vividly. It was a cold October evening, and the quietness of my small apartment felt almost unbearable. The soft hum of the radiator was the only sound breaking the stillness. I was scrolling mindlessly through Tinder, not expecting much. To be honest, I had started using the app out of sheer boredom. My friends insisted it was a great way to meet new people, even if only for a fleeting connection. Most of the profiles I swiped past were generic. Exaggerated smiles, filters hiding imperfections, and bios filled with cliches about loving travel and dogs. It was monotonous, and I was just about to call it a night when I stumbled upon a profile that stopped me in my tracks. Her name was Suzanne. Her age was listed as 29, but her pictures told a very different story. The first image was a grainy selfie of an elderly woman, her hair a puff of white curls, her round glasses sitting on the edge of her nose. Her wrinkled face bore a warm but slightly unsettling smile. The next photo was even more peculiar, a black and white shot of her standing in front of an ancient-looking house, holding what appeared to be a large cat. The bio was brief but cryptic. Asterisk. Looking for someone who appreciates old souls and timeless stories. Let's meet where shadows linger and whispers tell tales. It was bizarre, almost theatrical. I am not sure why I swiped right. Maybe it was curiosity, or maybe it was her oddly specific invitation. A match seemed unlikely, but to my surprise, she matched with me almost instantly. "Hello, Alex," her first message read. "You seem like someone who might enjoy an adventure off the beaten path." Her tone was charming, yet slightly unnerving. "Intrigued," I replied, keeping my responses light and polite. But Suzanne had a way with words, weaving our conversation into something that felt more like a story than small talk. She spoke of mysterious places she'd visited and strange encounters she'd had with people who seemed more than human. "You have to meet me in person," she typed after a few exchanges. "Words can only capture so much. I have something extraordinary to share with you." Normally, I would have hesitated. Meeting someone from Tinder always carried a risk, but Suzanne's peculiar charm overrode my instincts. We agreed to meet at an old pub on the outskirts of town. The night of our meeting, the pub was unusually quiet. Its dim lighting and antique decor gave it a timeless feel, as though it had been plucked from another era. I sat at a corner table, my nerves building with every passing minute. Then, she arrived. Suzanne was exactly as her pictures had shown, and yet there was something intangible. Her presence filled the room with an air of mystery. She walked slowly but deliberately, her cane tapping softly against the wooden floor. Her eyes sparkled with a mix of mischief and wisdom. "You came," she said, her voice soft but commanding. I nodded, suddenly unsure of my decision. "I couldn't resist. You intrigued me." She smiled knowingly. "Good. Curiosity is the first step to discovery." We talked for hours. Suzanne's stories were mesmerizing. She spoke of forgotten villages, hidden pathways, and ancient rituals. Every tale felt like a fragment of some larger, darker truth. I found myself hanging on her every word, drawn deeper into her enigmatic world. "You are different from most people," she said at one point, leaning closer. "You see beyond the surface. That's why I chose you." Her words sent a chill down my spine. "Chose me for what?" I asked cautiously. Suzanne didn't answer directly. Instead, she reached into her bag and pulled out a small, intricately carved wooden box. "This is for you," she said, sliding it across the table. I hesitated before opening it. Inside was an old key, its metal worn and tarnished. "What does it open?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "That's for you to discover," she replied. "But be warned, once you open the door, it here is no turning back." Her words lingered in my mind long after we parted ways. That night, I dreamed of endless hallways and locked doors, each one more ominous than the last. When I woke, the key was still in my pocket, as real as the chills running down my spine. Over the next few days, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Shadows seemed to move in the corners of my vision, and strange whispers filled the silence of my apartment. The key seemed to pulse with an energy of its own, demanding to be used. Finally, Unable to resist, I decided to investigate. Suzanne had mentioned a specific address during our conversation, a place she claimed held secrets that could change one's perception of reality. It was an old, abandoned mansion on the edge of town, shrouded in myths and ghost stories. The night I arrived, the air was thick with tension. The mansion loomed before me, its windows dark and foreboding. The front door, however, seemed to call to me, as though it had been waiting for my arrival. With trembling hands, I inserted the key into the lock. The door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit hallway lined with portraits of people whose eyes seemed to follow me. The air inside was cold, carrying a faint scent of decay. As I ventured deeper, the atmosphere grew heavier. Whispers echoed around me, their words indistinct but filled with urgency. Then I saw her. Suzanne stood at the end of the hallway, her figure shrouded in shadow. "Welcome," she said, her voice echoing unnaturally. "You've crossed the threshold. Now, the real journey begins." Before I could respond, the door slammed shut behind me, and the hallway plunged into darkness. My heart raced as I realized I was no longer in the mansion but in a labyrinth of shifting walls and endless corridors. Suzanne's voice echoed in the distance, guiding me deeper into the unknown. What happened next is difficult to put into words. Time seemed to blur, and reality bent in ways I couldn't comprehend. I saw glimpses of otherworldly landscapes, felt the presence of beings that defied description, and uncovered truths that shattered my understanding of existence. When I finally emerged, it was morning. I was standing in a field miles away from the mansion, the key still clutched in my hand. Suzanne was gone, and the memories of what I had experienced felt like fragments of a fading dream. To this day, I don't know if any of it was real or some elaborate illusion, but one thing is certain. Meeting Suzanne changed me in ways I can't fully explain. The key sits on my desk as a constant reminder of the doors we choose to open and the ones we should leave locked.